In 1990, the Async Institute sends researcher Naren into a mysterious multidimensional place known as the back rooms. As he explores these rooms, Naren records everything he finds, and the only thing he finds are yellow walls and floors, again and again. After some time, he observes some cables and traces them to a tripod and some boxes. There is all sorts of equipment in the room behind them, and Naren pushes some boxes to block the entrance. Then he attempts to radio headquarters, telling them that this is the farthest he has gone, but he lost his teammates. He also says that there's something else here, so he wants to be rescued. Then, he hears an odd sound and a bird flying into a wall. He goes to look at it and the bird flies away. Then, Naren continues to explore and discovers more objects than empty rooms. Many of them are unfinished or hanging on the wall. Suddenly, he hears a door opening and he turns around to find a scary monster coming towards him. He begins to run as fast as he can and walks into a room that looks like an island, but he is unable to open the door. The creature soon finds him and knocks him down. Later, the Async scientists watch the footage of the incident. Weeks later, therapist Mary is heartbroken as her childhood home is torn down. The handprints on the cement path remind her of the day she and her mother put them there. Meanwhile, Clark begins his day at his furniture store, but the business isn't doing well. After work, he has a therapy session with Mary and wonders if he deserves to be alone. To get him to open up, Mary conducts a role-play exercise with him, playing the role of his wife, who had thrown him out of the house after another argument with him about his alcoholism. He was always at the store, and his wife was frustrated, but Clark was getting resentful because he had to pay for everything while she was out of college. Mary mentions Clark's unsuccessful career as an architect, and he snaps and yells at her. Mary finishes the exercise and tells him that it is normal. This test is to help him identify those feelings to learn to work on them. Later, Clark, disguised as a pirate, shoots a commercial for the store to advertise very big sales. Unfortunately, when he sits on a chair, its leg breaks, and he falls. Clark refuses to do another take, but his assistant manager, Kat, and her boyfriend, Bobby, want to do another take. In the afternoon, Clark brings an electrician to the store to check on some power issues. The building has been flickering for months and outages have been occurring, but the bill is still very high. When the electrician checks the fuse box in the basement, they discover 3 strange red switches that Clark swears weren't there before. They press them a couple times, but nothing happened. At home that night, Mary sits in front of the TV, and she has to deal with the ad for her own therapy tapes. She also frequently looks at the cement handprint she took from the house. At the same time, Clark is drinking and watching TV in the store where he's been living since his wife kicked him out. Then the TV goes off, and Clark takes a look at it, but he can't see why. Then, the store lights turn on by themselves and flicker for a few seconds before they turn off. Clark is lonely and frustrated, and takes a drive while listening to Mary's tapes. He visits his old house only to look at it. Later, Mary throws a family party, but she hasn't come to terms with the loss of her mother, and she begins to feel very uneasy. She runs to her office and gets some medicine from a cabinet, which she has hidden. Clark watches TV again on the following night, while he is drinking, and gets irritated by a commercial from the competition. Then the screen jams and displays the back rooms for a second before shutting down. Clark is frustrated when he slaps the TV, but he sees the lights in the basement come on. But as soon as he reaches the mysterious red ones, which turn off the power in the whole building, nothing happens. When he presses them again, the power doesn't return. When Clark sees a glowing line on the wall, he freezes in place, but he is ready to come out of the basement. As he starts to move closer, it disappears. When he touches the wall, his whole body goes through and collapses on a yellow floor. In the back rooms, Clark is confused, looking at a stack of furniture. He then touches the wall again and finds himself walking through and back to the basement. Curious, Clark crosses the wall again to return to the back room. He touches the furniture and realizes that they are the furniture from his store. Then he begins to investigate and sees only empty rooms until he comes across a stop sign written with mirrored letters. To prevent it, he walks down another hallway and sees the bird at the start dead on the ground. As the exploration continues, Clark finds a bunch of chairs and hears a strange voice speaking multiple languages. He listens to the sound and finds out it is from a cutout that has a recorder. Following the cables on its back takes Clark to a door, but he can't open it. As he is leaving, he sees something protruding from the wall and he pulls it out to find it's a panel. He discovers a bag inside with tapes, discs, and Naren's ID. There's also a tunnel, so Clark crawls through it until he gets to a room where things are falling through the floor. In a hole, there's a bunch of chairs. Suddenly, he hears a strange noise, so he looks through the tunnel at the previous room and asks if there's anyone there. The tape ends and the cutout is tossed in bits and pieces. Clark runs away from the hole and comes to a small door at the top of a slope. It has 3 knobs and Clark has to try them all to open it. The frame is just wide enough for Clark to cross, and when he arrives in the next room, he shuts the door, thinking he is being followed. Here, he finds the stop sign again, so he's able to retrace his steps back to the pile of furniture. When he touches the wall, he can't find the exit and panics. However, after much testing, he finally manages to cross through. After a few seconds, he comes back to the back rooms and grabs a stool to take with him to the real world as proof that this really happened. While Clark is away, Phil is watching the video of his adventure on Async Research. At his next therapy session, Clark tells Mary that he has not had a drink in 3 days and shares with her what has occurred, even drawing her a map of the back rooms. Mary doesn't believe him and thinks it's a side effect of withdrawal. So, Clark recovers the map and swears to prove his story. Then Clark comes to Kat and Bobby and asks them to help him with a project and even offers them money. The next day, Clark takes the duo to the basement and makes Bobby film everything. After putting some supplies in a bag and marking the spot on the wall, he quickly goes through it, leaving the others in shock. They can hear Clark's voice on the other side, asking them to cross, but Kat refuses because she thinks it's dangerous. Bobby is curious, so he follows Clark and is so excited at the sight of the back rooms that he convinces Kat to come. They start exploring the area, and Bobby makes sure to put every room on camera. When they find a dark tunnel, Clark ties Bobby to a bed before sending him down. As he walks through the tunnel, it shrinks, so Bobby begins crawling to the room at the end. Lots of laundry is strewn about and a very bad smell. Bobby sees lights that are flickering in the adjacent room. He wants to check the place out, but the rope isn't long enough for him to reach it. Then, a scary animal comes into the other room, and Bobby begins to climb up the tunnel and tells his friends to pull him up. When he reunites with them, he tells them what he saw, but is interrupted by the rope trying to pull him back into the tunnel. Kat catches Bobby and Clark tries to untie the knot. The rope, however, pulls with great force and Bobby soon is pulled down the tunnel. Before the rope pulls again, Clark and Kat hear some monstrous noises and Bobby screaming down there. It pulls them down the tunnel with the camera, and they see in terror as Bobby goes behind a hatch, leaving a trail of blood on the ground. Kat immediately runs into the dark room to look for her boyfriend, and Clark hears her scream before the hatch opens again. The creature seems to be coming back, so Clark escapes by going through a hole in the wall. Still carrying a camera, he moves through a lot of trash until he finds a new hole which he uses to come out into a new area that is white instead of yellow. Clark hears something behind him, opens a door and discovers the yellow room and laundry piles. He calls Kat as he walks, and sees another room with many chairs, sunken chairs, and a crutch. He is then escorted to a room where there are children's toys and then a few blank rooms. Clark walks through the first door he comes to, and rushes through it, only to discover a Christmas tree playing music and mannequins falling into the floor. Behind the tree, Clark sees a person sitting on a chair and greets them. This person turns on a lamp and reveals he's missing half his body. Then a woman comes in the room who is misshapen and pursues him, so Clark begins to run. As he crosses different areas, he sees more Christmas decorations in the front of a house. When he goes through the door, he ends up in a bathroom. Clark slips on some water and continues to move, locating some pools. Suddenly he hears Kat behind the wall, so he puts the camera down and attempts to do something to help her. After that, someone comes in and takes the camera. A flashback is used to reveal Mary's childhood. Her mother was mentally ill, so the house was always dirty and all the windows were covered with newspapers. One day little Mary wanted to open the window, but her mother saw her and scolded her, telling her to never go outside, as it's not safe. When the door suddenly was blown up, adult Mary wakes up from this dream. She looks at the cement handprint before she hears her phone ring, but she lets the answering machine take it. Clark leaves a message saying he's never coming back. While Phil is watching TV with his family, the ad break comes on and Clark's pirate commercial plays. Phil is in shock because he immediately recognizes him. Mary comes to the store, which is empty, moments later. There are numerous envelopes under the door, indicating no one has been there for days. She enters and calls Clark, but he doesn't come. When she notices the basement lights flickering, she goes downstairs and finds a board with the map he showed her. She also sees the marks on the wall and is surprised to see a fly vanish into the wall. With a bit of hesitation, Mary touches the wall and musters up her courage to cross it. In the back rooms, Mary doesn't find the furniture, only empty rooms and the stop sign. She begins to look around and eventually finds something from her childhood home. There is a stack of chairs and a disturbing drawing on the wall depicting a terrifying monster killing humans in the next quarter. Some notes indicate the artist was trying to figure this place out. Suddenly, she hears a sound and she turns around to find a person hiding in a passage. Clark tells her that she's being too loud before he shows himself, saying that this is every place that ever was. They are interrupted by a noise and flickering lights during their conversation. So, Clark tells Mary not to worry, it's just him. All of a sudden, he wraps his arm around her neck and apologizes as he chokes her, saying that it is for her own good. Another flashback shows little Mary watching her mother being taken away to a mental hospital which left her alone at home. This memory starts transforming as her house loses objects and details, little by little, becoming just one more area in the back rooms. Then Mary awakens, bound to a chair in a dining room, where Clark is setting up a table, and is surrounded by three strange-looking people. He says, "This is a mess, but kind of beautiful." He also tells the visitors that everything here is constructed by the back rooms from the visitors' memories. The more they are rebuilt, the more warped they get. Clark believes that they are better than the originals since they are incapable of feeling pain, as he demonstrates by stabbing a man. "It must be great to feel no fear, no regrets, and only be furniture," Clark said. Then he begins to rip the man's stomach open, and he finds that it's stuffed with stuffing, not flesh. Clark places the pieces on the plates and says this can be eaten before opening the fridge to see Kat's head. Mary is desperate to leave Clark and offers him her help in anything he requires. Clark wants her to say that he was right, but he puts on a scene like in their role-play exercise. The weird guy on the chair turns on his lamp when he turns off the lights. Clark removes the knife from the body and cuts off the woman's entire hair and places it on Mary as a wig, allowing her to play his wife. Pretending this is the night he was kicked out of the house, Clark apologizes for accidentally waking his wife up. He's calm and sensible at the beginning, then he goes off his rocker and begins to rant and rave. He has the right to drink all he wants because this is his house and he's paying for it just like he paid for his wife's college. Mary yells that she's not his wife and shakes off the wig, ignoring his request to stay in character. She tells him that his wife didn't leave him due to the drinking or the overwork. He never took responsibility for what he did, so she left him. He always blames all his problems on someone else and Mary can't help him with that. After the initial shock, Clark starts crying and admits he doesn't want to change. Indeed, he wishes to remain here. Mary tells him that he can stay if he wants, but he must let her go. Clark unties Mary and apologizes, which causes the creepy women to run to a corner to freak out. The creature then emerges from the dark room as the pirate Captain Clark from the commercial. It appears to be a reflection of Clark's suppressed negative emotions such as his anger and shortcomings. The real Clark informs him that Mary is a friend and that they don't need to change, but the captain grabs him and bites his shoulder. Then he begins to throw him around the room and torture him, and the chair guy continues to play with the lamp. As Clark screams, "Echo in the area," Mary runs away and enters a room that looks like her old neighborhood. She runs to the end door, but it doesn't open. The captain seems to be dragging Clark's bleeding body on the floor at the moment, so Mary quickly hides inside a house. Running from room to room, Mary can hear Captain Clark coming closer. In an area full of couches, she has to jump on them to keep advancing, but she ends up slipping and injuring her leg. Moving more slowly allows Captain Clark to get closer. Soon, Mary arrives at a corridor and jumps her way to the door, which is locked. When the monster approaches, Mary creeps through the doggy door into another room and manages to evade the monster's hand. When Mary looks around, she discovers she's standing on the edge of an atrium, and she can see the rest of the back room. Since the creature is hitting the door to break it, Mary tries to move fast, but also carefully. She manages to climb up some stairs and opens a door on the ceiling, which comes off and falls into the abyss. Passing through the resulting hole takes Mary to a nice-looking room with the store's furniture. Here she climbs further up the stairs and finds herself in an open space where she realizes this is a bad copy of the store. She runs to the exit door, but it is closed. Captain Clark comes along at that time, so Mary uses a coat rack to break his wooden leg and he falls. Then, she tries to run away, but accidentally bumps into the cutout, which activates an alarm and causes a bunch of extinguishers to start filling the room with fog. Mary continues to run, but, sadly, she soon falls down as the fog is sleeping gas. Suddenly she awakens and is frightened to find that Captain Clark is crawling on top of her. Mary puts her hand in his face and pulls the cement handprint out of her pocket. Then she uses it to repeatedly hit the monster in the head until it breaks. Then Mary finds herself in a very small space in the wall where Captain Clark can't get to her. She runs to next door, but is knocked out with gas by async workers in hazmat suits. Mary looks back but doesn't see the monster in the passage before collapsing. The men pull her out of the room and plop her in front of a bunch of scientists. Mary's body is scanned sometime later. As the men guide her through their facility, she discovers they've retrieved the monster's body. Behind a door, there are countless copies of the cutout. Eventually, she's left alone with Phil, who asks her lots of questions. Mary says that she saw the rooms in the furniture store, but won't say anything more when Phil shows her a video of Clark and the censored creature. Next, Phil tells the audience that his company used to manufacture MRI machines until they discovered the back rooms. Today he spends his days researching and making a map. He wishes Mary to share her experience, but she dissociates to not listen to him. Various shots of the back room reveal all of the rooms, one of which contains Mary's therapy tapes and another, missing posters for Kat and Bobby. Eventually, it is revealed that Mary is in fact there, and her body slowly mutates while she is frozen in her chair. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.